Hello, everyone, and welcome. I will give you just a few moments to get settled, and then we will get started. Alrighty, all is looking good. Well, hello again, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mai, and I will be one of your webinar hosts for the day. We are in a new platform, so if you have not joined us in a while, we are using On24. In the middle of your screen, which is the largest box, this is where you will be able to view the presentation slides. To the upper right-hand side in the related content box, this is where you will see a handout for today's presentation and an informative link. On the left-hand side, you will see a questions box. Please feel free to ask any questions and add any comments to that box. And with that, I would like to introduce our first presenter of the day, Carrie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Eide Bailly 360, an inside look at our culture. We are so glad that you took time out of your afternoon to be with us today. My name is Carrie Haugen, and I'm the Campus Recruitment Manager here at Eide Bailly. I have been with Eide Bailly for almost 9 years, and one of my favorite things that we get to do as a campus recruitment team is this webinar, where you get to hear stories from our professionals. Today, you're going to learn all about who Eide Bailly is. You're going to hear from speakers that are talking about their career paths and what they do on a day-to-day. You're going to hear from our recruitment team and what we are looking for when we are looking for our interns and entry-level associates. And then to wrap up our time together today, you're going to hear from a panel of our professionals talking about the value that Eide Bailly provides them. There's lots of information to be covered today. So as Mai shared, please use that resource section to access our program for the day, as well as that link that you can view afterwards. It's a Q&A with our recruiters. They pre-recorded it to give you some additional content from today. And please use our Q&A function. We have a team of campus recruiters that are ready to answer your questions, as we know that we might not get to all of them live. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our very first speaker, Lisa Fitzgerald. Lisa is our Chief Human Resources Officer here at Eide Bailly, and we are so lucky to have her. So with that, Lisa.
Thank you, Carrie. That's very nice of you. Hi, everyone. I am really excited to be with you today. So thank you, Carrie, for the invite. I have the pleasure of leading the HR function for the firm, and I have been here 18 years. 18 years tomorrow, actually, is my anniversary date. So it's been a really fun ride, and it's been a lot of fun to be along for kind of all the growth of the firm. So I know I've been here a long time, but I vividly remember my recruiting process and my interview process with Eide Bailly. And one of the things that stood out to me was the culture statement that you're seeing there in the green box. I was really impressed that Eide Bailly actually had a culture statement, that they had taken the time to really think about what culture meant to them and what that looked like in action. I was even more impressed that people knew it when I was part of the interview process. It wasn't just something that was written and sitting in the managing partner's office. It was something that was displayed proudly throughout the building and in our printed materials. But also just that everybody lived it. I felt it when I was going through that interview process. I could feel that culture in action. I think culture it's great to be written down, and I'm so thankful that Eide Bailly has been thoughtful about it, but it's also just really about a feeling you get when you interact with people here at the firm. I promise I'm not going to read through all of these for you, but a couple of things have stood out to me, and different things have been important to me at different points in my career, to be honest. But one of the things that has stood out time and time again is trusting and supporting one another. And I am passionate about that, of course, in the space that I serve Eide Bailly in. But that shows up. It shows up often, and it shows up in our belonging initiatives. It shows up in our employee resource groups, where we gather people together to support each other and create community. Those are some of my favorite things that we have going here at Eide Bailly. The other thing is maintaining that balance between work and home life. I'm old, but and my kids are in college, and still need me, I hope, once in a while. But especially when they were little, it was like, the pink eye runs through the house, or you've got a school program in the middle of the day, or there's a sporting event. And I was thinking about this last night, thinking back, I don't really feel like I've missed anything of my kids, anything that they wanted me to be at. I never felt like had to miss anything. And I never felt guilty if I said to somebody at work, like, hey, I can't do that Thursday afternoon because my daughter Riley has a program at school. I just have never, ever been made to feel guilty for having those boundaries and putting my family first, to be honest. So those are things that have stood out to me over time. Lots of statements there, lots of things that we live, but those are the two that kind of popped to mind for me when I was thinking about this again last night. So a little bit about Eide Bailly. So we were founded in 1917, so we're over 100 years old. We have 50 offices in the US and in India. The US, we used to say we're only west of the Mississippi River, and you can obviously see we have gone east of the Mississippi River. So last summer, we found a really phenomenal firm out in Ohio and Illinois, and they joined us, and that's been a really great addition. So I would suspect we'll see some more movement, more in the eastern United States. We did start our India office in November of 2019. I flew out in August and we did our first hiring events in India, opened the office in November. And then, of course, as you may remember, we just kind of got them stood up and going, and then COVID hit. So it was challenging times, obviously, for all of us, but it was I felt so bad for them. They were new, they were just learning Eide Bailly, and then kind of everybody scattered and went home and all the things. But they are a strong office, and they are about 135 people strong now. We actually was just over there in November doing a 5-year celebration, which was a ton of fun. But you can see the states we're in, and the blue dots are the cities that we're in. So all over, like I said, the U.S., we got a few states to fill in on the west side of the U.S. as well, but lots of different locations and lots of different opportunities, obviously. We are ranked as a top 20 firm in the nation. That is important to us in terms of kind of staying relevant with our clients and with recruiting, obviously. We have a great advisory practice within the firm, and one of those areas in that advisory service is technology consulting. And so we have our reseller of NetSuite and Salesforce, and we do a really nice job there. So we are a 7-time Oracle NetSuite Partner of the Year and a 5-stat Salesforce consulting partner since 2009. So most of the mix of the firm is tax, advisory and assurance, and audit, and then advisory are the key areas. And those advisory areas continue to grow and grow and grow, with kind of the most recent focus on kind of continuing to grow our client advisory services, our client accounting services, with the great team that we have there. So that's a little bit about us. We are, I hope, a firm of choice for 3,000 plus partners and staff, anywhere from 34 to 3,800, usually depending on the season and the number of interns and seasonals we might have working for us. I tell people all the time, like, my job is I get paid technically to care about the well-being of our staff, and that's a really cool job, to be honest. So we take it seriously, and we want to make sure we're creating a space where people feel like they belong, and where they feel like they're supported, and where people feel like they can thrive and see a long career here at Eide Bailly. So we work really hard to make sure that we are creating that kind of environment for our teammates. It's important. So, okay, but over 3,000 for sure, any given time. Well over 3,000 staff and partners across the U.S. and India, and a few friends and employees actually in Canada. Okay. So a few years ago, as we kind of changed to new leadership, we sat down and really thought more about our mission and our purpose and our values. And so here's what we came up with. So our mission is to be one connected firm. The reason I think that's important is we have grown pretty considerably and pretty quickly, and we've done a lot of work with merging in other firms. And so sometimes that's created geographies where people are kind of siloed, that market, whatever it might be. And we knew we needed to create some additional connectiveness. And so we've been really talking a lot about how do we operate as one firm. So how do we have standard processes? So if one location or office is struggling to get the tax returns done, right, there's another group of people that can come in and help out. And so we're focusing a lot on standard processes and making sure we can help one another. Also, just making those connections with people outside of potentially your four walls, or if people are remote, but just trying to make sure we're breaking down those walls so that people have the opportunities to work together more seamlessly. Our purpose is to foster impactful doing by growing our people, elevating our clients, and strengthening our communities. And there's some really key words there, right? And that I love to see: people, clients, and communities. So we are really thoughtful about how we also show up in our communities. We have volunteer time, so people can take time to go volunteer every year. I think we get 8 hours, so if it's something important to you, we ask you to go and use that time and volunteer. Matching dollars. Our employee resource groups are really active in their communities as well. So community is important. Where we reside and how we show up in our communities is really important to us. And then obviously our clients are super important, and we want to make sure that what the services that we're providing for them are elevating them and helping them grow and achieve their goals and dreams as well. The values spell out impact if you look carefully. So IMPACT is what they spell, and we like to talk about impact. So integrity, where we choose what's right over what's easy. Creating those meaningful relationships with our people, our coworkers, our peers, and with our clients. We're a people business. We don't have a widget that we sell. We don't create something, right? That a physical something that goes out to our clients. So our business is our people and their knowledge and their skills. And so we understand that, and we want to take care of each other and support each other and offer flexibility, which I think we have a ton of, which is what I was talking about earlier. Love that authenticity is part of our values. So encouraging people to show up as they are, and being committed to diverse, equitable, and inclusive workforces. So super important to me that we're all able to show up where we're at. Culture, referring back to that culture statement, it is what we value most about our firm is how we what's important and how we show up and how we cultivate our culture on an ongoing basis. So we want to protect that, and we want to make sure that we continue to live out that culture every single day. And then trusting each other and inspiring others to do their very best work and have trust in us. So that is our mission, our purpose, and our values. As I mentioned, I've been here 18 years. Hopefully I've got 18 more in me. I don't know. I'm getting older, but this has been a really phenomenal place to grow my career. So I've been the head of HR the whole time. However, when I started, I think there were 6 in our HR team, and we're just shy of 60 right now. So there's been so many opportunities provided to me and my team members based on that growth. Positions we never dreamt would be here, 6 or 18 years ago, are here today in our team. And I think every function and every team is experiencing that in some way. With growth becomes opportunity. So thank you for being here today and for listening to us. I hope you learned something really, really valuable today. You're going to hear from some really amazing people from around the firm. So soak it all in, ask your questions, and thanks again for joining. I'm going to introduce you now to Jenna. Jenna Johnson is a senior campus recruiter for us. She's been with us 3 years and resides in Denver, Colorado. Handing it to you, Jenna.
Jenna, it looks like you're muted.
Jenna, I see you talking, but we still can't hear you. So I'm wondering if there's an audio issue, which is totally okay. If there is, we can pivot.
Go to connected at the top of your screen, Jenna, and then hit system default on the left, and then reconnect that way.
Still not hearing you, Jenna. That's okay. we can pivot. So sorry, Jenna. Gotta love when technology happens, right? We all have those days. So I'll hop back in and introduce our next speakers. So we wanted to take a moment as we pivot and go into our career focused portion of the event. We have two great speakers today to talk about our tax and assurance careers. When we talk about careers, most of our people at Eide Bailly do start in one of our core services, which is tax or assurance. As Lisa mentioned, we do have practices outside of those core services, things like our specialty services, our technology consulting. If you're ever curious to know what all of those are, our website is a great resource to see all the various things that we offer our clients. However, like I mentioned, a lot of our interns and entry level folks do start in one of these two services as it gives a great foundational knowledge. You get to work with a variety of different clients in a variety of different industries. And as you progress in your career, you begin to learn more and more. And then eventually we see people maybe moving into one of our more specialty areas. So with that, I'm going to let the experts talk about what they do. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas. Go ahead, Thomas, take it away.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas. I've been with the firm for about 4 years now. I'm a tax senior associate here at our Sherman Oaks office. To begin, a big question I get asked is, what do interns and associates typically do in tax specifically? When you come on board, what we do is we essentially have you do some basic work papers, scanning documents, payment confirmations, and as your comfort goes with the softwares that we use, what I personally like to do is I try to get you guys into processing tax returns and actually doing hands-on day-to-day activities as we do. Now let's just talk about the actual softwares that we use, particularly here at Eide Bailly. We use what's called CCH products, primarily Document and Access. Access is what we prepare our tax returns, and Document is what we house our client documents from. And then we also use Engagement, which is for our business tax returns. We do the trial balances, so on and so forth, adjustment journal entries there as we need to. And then, of course, we use Excel. That's our best friend. We use that on a daily, consistently, preparing work papers, reconciliations, so on and so forth. Another question I get asked is, what happens as you move up in your career, as far as your responsibilities, so on and so forth. Obviously, a bigger role, you'll get into more responsibilities, more complex returns, and ultimately get into more client interactions, requesting documents, getting a little bit of clarity of certain situations, open items, so on and so forth. And then ultimately at the end, it's to start reviewing rather than prepping the tax returns. So how do we actually make a difference to our clients? On our side, on the tax side, we ultimately try to ensure accuracy and compliance to protect them with any tax law, as far as penalties, any audits that come around with them. And we ultimately provide them with some sort of guidance and expertise on new tax rules that change on a daily or on a yearly. Now, the big question that I get asked is, why tax? Why did I choose tax rather than assurance? In my perspective, I look at tax as the future. It's more of planning for your clients. It's more of trying to guide them down the line and preparing the tax returns for them. At the end of the day, planning and guidance attracted me more to tax rather than assurance. Now that I've shared a little bit about tax, Dennis, let's hear about assurance.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Everybody, my name is Dennis Lee. I didn't have enough time to run all this through ChatGPT since we're kind of moving ahead a little bit. So this is all going to come from the heart. Just kidding there. I'm a senior manager over here in our Rancho Cucamonga office. I have been with the firm now for about almost 10 years. And I've been within the industry for about 12 so far. I specialize in insurance, and I specialize primarily in commercial entities. I do audits, reviews of that nature. And I'm going to answer some questions similar to what was just answered, but from more now an assurance perspective. So key responsibilities of interns and associates. Now, coming in as an intern, we really want you to learn and absorb as much as possible. You're going to assist with different work papers, assist with different sections to test, but primarily we also want you to maintain your GPA. We do not want to come in and be any hindrance to your skills. So if there's anything that ever comes up with schedule conflicts, if you're currently in school, let someone know. We're here to help, and we want you to grow. Now, as an audit associate, you're going to come in, and that's going to be a full-time position. And as a full-time position, we're going to have different seasons. So with that, we're going to have a little bit different expectations of you, but at the same time, it's going to be pretty much the same core your first few years. We want you to learn, we want you to grow, we want you to absorb. So you're going to have work papers that you're going to work on. You're going to assist management with some client communications at times. And really at the end of the day, we're here to build you and have you grow. With that, you're going to be using different types of softwares. And the software that we have is going to be similar to the tax department. It's going to be the Pro Systems Engagement. That's our main binder that we house all of our testing, all of our audits in, all of our work papers. And within that, we use Excel, we use Word, and within those, we have different softwares that help us as well. We have something called Team Analytics, and that's going to be used specifically for some testing using data analytics. There's different features within there that help out doing a lot of the large number data crunching in a very limited and efficient time. We have Tableau, we have SureLink, which is a portal that we use, which is really, really nice with our clients. So when we request to get support for work papers, we have this interactive portal that allows the client to be able to give us the exact specific item we're looking for, and we can communicate through that instead of just a big data dump, which has made the career in my profession a lot better over the years. Now, what changes in your career as you progress is obviously going to be first and foremost responsibilities. So as you progress and as you gain more and more trust to be able to do higher risk areas, you're going to get more responsibilities. You're going to get the opportunity to take on some higher risk, and you'll have more and more client interactions, which is something that I've always really enjoyed. Being able to grow and develop with our clients and assist them to better their financials and their entity as a whole. Now, that moves on to the question, how do we impact our clients? So as an auditor, we're not the tax professional, and everyone jokes that the tax is their best friend because they're helping them with things, and audit's the bad guys, but that's not really the case. Many times when we go on site, the clients really enjoy having us because we are able to assist them also with finding better internal control processes for them and telling them little holes and things like that. And we're also their trusted advisor. I'll tell you, we had a client one time that came to us and they needed help with software implementation. Well, as an auditor, I can't do that, but Eide Bailly as a whole, we can do that. So as an auditor, you'll find different areas that you can assist, maybe not personally, but within the firm, and be able to pass that off and say, hey, our client needs help with this. Can you help them? And we have the resources to be able to do that as well. Now, why would you choose audit? Personally, I chose audit because I liked puzzles and things like that. I would say that if you are a puzzle person, or if you like to work in teams, maybe you like to see how businesses work from the inside, then audit might be the path for you. My team's the reason why I'm still here to this day, and they inspire me daily. I am completely, I owe everything that I have, my growth and everything to my partner, my other managers, my other seniors and associates. They really build me up, and they've helped me become the person who I am today. So with that, now that I've shared about our careers, it's time for us to talk about your career. So here is Chelsea Kanar, our senior campus recruiter.
Chelsea, we also cannot hear you. Technology is not our friend today. I'm gonna try reconnecting at the top.
And or refreshing your screen.
We're just going to leave you all in suspense about who wins this fantastic giveaway while Chelsea tries to get reconnected.
Can you hear me now?
We sure can.
Okay, let's keep rolling then. So, Carrie, did you give away the nonprofit yet?
I did not. I left them all in suspense.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me get started again here. So one way that we help our staff excel is by fueling their passions outside of work, and that often includes supporting nonprofits. So our first giveaway winner, Nico Laser, you are our lucky winner of a $250 nonprofit donation. We will reach out to you after this webinar for more details. Congratulations. And we have another winner. So Eide Bailly employees excel at utilizing the Calm app. And so May Kaleen Moya, you are the lucky winner of our year-long subscription to the Calm app. Our members of our teams will also reach out to you to help coordinate that as well. Okay, so what I am going to share a little bit more about here is we often get asked what positions that we hire for, as well as what are we looking for when we make those hires. So two things on the campus side that you can find on our early careers page is our internships, which is typically our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We do offer full-time and part-time opportunities with those internships as well. They are office dependent, and I'll touch base on a little bit about that here in our next slide. But we also hire entry-level associates. So these are our new college graduates. This is a full-time opportunity, and you will want to look for entry level in the title when you are looking for those applications. And things that we're looking for, those kind of key skills that you might want to be thinking about, either being able to share on your resume or in the interview process. We do look for strong communication skills, that problem solving and critical thinking that you've heard about a few times. Teamwork and collaboration, our teams are super important. The ability and the desire to learn. We provide all the training that you need, but having the desire to learn is something that's going to be incredibly helpful. Professionalism, and then taking the initiative for your career and the work that you're doing. And then where can you find all of these things? I've already shared, but we do have a campus careers page. It's our early careers page, and we encourage you to take a look at that today. So we want you to go out and find what an internship or an entry-level position that you might be looking for. Like I said, those needs vary by the office or the region. All of our openings are out there right now. We may be adding some more as we head into the fall, but please take a look at that website. All the application deadlines and interview dates will be on the application as well. I encourage you to take a look at the QR code in your program. It'll take you right to that website, as well as we do offer some more resources. Carrie kind of touched on that earlier. In your program, there's a QR code for a free Eide Bailly Careers resource page that will include resume help, interview practice, and much, much more. And with that, I'm going to send it back to Carrie. And that's the trend, Carrie. Now you're muted. A page refresh is what helped me.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you everyone for your patience with all of our technology issues today. It happens, right? We always joke that we would not be doing our jobs if we didn't know how to pivot. So thank you so much for bearing with us through those technology issues. I am excited to move into what I think is one of the best parts of this webinar is our panel. This, I think, is going to answer so many of the questions that I'm seeing come in the chat. Thank you for submitting those questions. And so since we are having some tech issues today, I want all my panelists to test their mic and come off of mute and introduce themselves. I do believe Maddie, unfortunately, was not able to be with us. She had even more tech issues than the rest of us, but we have great panelists. So I have Mish, Antonio, Reed, and then actually our recruiter Rachel's going to pop in too just to help answer some questions since Madeline couldn't be here. So with that, Mish, I'm going to start with you. If you could just come off mute, introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Antonio, Reed, and Rachel.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Mish. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay, great. So it's so great to be speaking with everybody. I'm here to be talking about two of Eide Bailly's core values, which is meaningful relationships and people. So fostering meaningful relationships is one of the most important parts of our work here at Eide Bailly, but really relationships have been a part of our lives on a day-to-day basis with family, friends, teachers, and classmates. In college, for example, you build on relationships by hanging out in the student center, grabbing coffee with classmates, or meeting professors during work hours. The more time you spend with someone, the more you learn about their communication style, their approach to problem solving, and over time, you start to build a sense of trust. And that same process carries on into our careers. When I first started as an audit intern, it was my very first office job, and I was so intimidated, not just by all of the technical knowledge that I had to learn, but also by all the new people that I was meeting. Looking back, two relationships really guided me through this time during my internship. The first one was with an audit staff who was just 1 year ahead of me, and he understood exactly what I was going through because he had just been there himself. He took the time to explain things to me, learn about my working style, and meet me where I was at with my baseline knowledge. Because of that rapport, I felt comfortable asking him those dumb questions, and that helped me learn so much faster. Today, we're both senior associates, and I still view him as a friend and a coworker, but also as a valuable resource. That's what what a meaningful relationship is. It's someone who you can trust to guide you, challenge you, and help you grow. A second relationship that was of value to me is my relationship with my audit manager, who I now consider as a mentor. Early on in your career, you get exposure to all the different sections of an audit, and it can feel really overwhelming. But she was really patient with me, and she gave me the space to learn, make mistakes, and ask questions. She molded my curiosity in a way that encouraged me to think critically, and that helped me build my confidence in my role. And because of her guidance, I developed a deep respect for her leadership and learned how impactful a strong mentor can be. And as I've grown at Eide Bailly, I've continued building relationships across the firm with people in tax, partners and managers in other offices, and I've loved hearing their stories about how they got to be where they are today. And each one of those relationships has become an asset to me. And I've giving people, one second, giving me people that I can trust and reach out to when I need help or if I need a change in perspective. One piece of advice that always stuck with me came from a tax partner. And he told me the best thing that you can do for the firm, the people around you, and your clients is to just do a good job. And at first it sounded too simple, but he explained that while none of us can be experts in every area of accounting, we can become experts in our clients. And when you take the time to learn and understand a client's business processes, their challenges and their goals, you're able to better work for them. And more importantly, you just build a sense of trust with them, and that helps strengthen our relationships. And so now this is something that I do in my role as a senior. And by doing good work, I not only serve my clients, but I'm building meaningful connections with them. And as time goes on, I keep learning and meeting new people. And I'm grateful that Eide Bailly has a culture that encourages relationship building, because those connections and relationships have helped me grow in my career and establish myself as a professional. And I hope that for everyone who's here today, as you guys begin your careers, you'll also seek out and cultivate meaningful relationships, because they will also become your greatest assets.
Awesome. Thank you, Mish. Antonio and Reed, I want to give you both just a moment. If you could, again, check your mics, make sure that that's working. But if you could share your name and just your title and where you're joining from, and then we'll dive into some of our panelist questions.
Does everybody hear me?
We sure can. Yay, it finally worked. How about you, Reed? Uh-oh. Reed, maybe you need to try the refresh this time. While we're waiting for Reed, Rachel, do you want to check yours?
All right. How about now, Carrie?
There we go. Goodness. Yes. Thanks, Reed. Awesome. Okay, well, Mish shared so much great information. And Antonio, I want to go to you next.
Sure.
I know that you joined Eide Bailly through an acquisition last year. Lisa touched on how we do acquisitions. It's how we've been able to grow as a firm. So tell us about that experience of joining Eide Bailly through an acquisition. What surprised you about Eide Bailly's culture and values when you joined?
Absolutely. So first, let me say that I do have friends in the accounting profession that have experienced mergers and acquisitions before, and I've heard nightmarish horror type stories. So that being said, when I heard about the Eide Bailly acquisition, I was reluctant, I was nervous, and I'm not gonna lie, everybody, I was scared. However, it's been a little bit over a year, and I can say that I'm more than pleasantly surprised as to how smooth the transition has gone. It was way, way, way better than what I anticipated. This may sound cliche. I hope it doesn't. But the open door policy, the willingness to help, it seems like everybody cares. And Mish touched on it too. The people, and it's not just the people that I work with directly every single day. It's the leadership group, from the top down, and you can really see it. You can feel it. A couple of months as the acquisition was going on, a couple of months after the acquisition, the leadership group made sure that a different Eide Bailly professional was in our office every week. And, they were there to answer questions, show us the new process and procedures, whatever you can think of, you name it, they were there to help. And I felt like I wasn't left in the dark when it came to certain things surrounding Eide Bailly. And that really, really, really helped me. It helped our group. So I was really, really appreciative about that. And yes, Eide Bailly is, one of the leaders in the accounting profession. Yes, 100%. But I don't feel like a number here. I 100% feel seen. I 100% feel heard, and I 100% feel like I matter. And that goes to show it speaks of the values and the culture of the firm.
Yeah. That I matter. That just gives me goosebumps in a good way, especially being on the recruitment team. I think we strive for that when we're looking for people, as highlighting that this is a place where you matter. We see that in so many of the different things that we do on a daily basis, the way that our leaders show up for us. And so Reed, I'm going to throw it to you. You are a partner here. You have been someone that I've gotten to work very closely with, thankfully, and just the recruitment efforts and various things. And as your career has grown, I'm sure that there's been experiences that have shaped just the professional that you are. Can you talk about a time when Eide Bailly supported one of your passions, maybe outside of work or within the workplace, and how that shaped your perspective on Eide Bailly being a place you wanted to grow your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Carrie. Pleasure to be with everyone today. I'm Reed Matz. I'm a partner in our client accounting services in Fargo, North Dakota. I've been with the firm for 17 years. I spent 12 years of that time in the audit practice, and the last 5 working in our client accounting services. And we'll maybe touch on the work one first. And I'll say that throughout my career, I think everybody, when they start their career in public accounting, thinks that the trajectory is going to go like this. It's going to be the straight arrow up. It's going to be a smooth line. You start in a certain area, you know what you're going to do the rest of your career. And I always tell students when I'm talking with them, whether it's on campus or in the office, that your career is a series of ups and downs, twists and turns. You always have to kind of be ready to adapt, kind of like we've done a little bit today. And so I'll think back to when I first started my career at Eide Bailly. I had a chance to work in a lot of different industries, see a lot of different things, which was great because it really gave me that exposure to different types of companies, different types of organizations, policies, procedures, all that type of information. And what I really found is I really enjoyed working with small to mid-sized businesses and nonprofit organizations. So I had a chance to pivot a couple of years into my career and really focus on nonprofits, which is actually still where I work with today. It gave me a chance to work with organizations that really believe strongly in the mission, and it pulled at my passion as well to be able to serve them and provide a lot of resources that they were lacking. And kind of fast forward again, this was a couple years into my career, so quite a while ago, but about 5 years ago, I hit a pivot point in my career where I'd gotten introduced to some of our client accounting services actually through my nonprofit industry. and had worked with a couple of clients just on the side, in addition to my audit responsibilities as well. And came to the point in time where I sat down and was talking with a couple partners that I really trusted in the firm and said, I think I want to make this a career choice, a career change at this point in time, which again, having spent 12 years in the audit practice, was not really anything that was on my radar the previous time before that. I thought, well, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my career. I'm going to be an audit partner and sign audit returns for the next 30 years. And that's how it's going to be. But I had an opportunity to move into a growing area of the firm, work with a bunch of people that I really knew and admired. And so 5 years ago, took that leap and went in a completely different direction with a completely different department with a lot of people I didn't know, but again, trusted the people that I worked with and had an opportunity to move into the position that I'm in now and lead a great department and work with a lot of new individuals to further establish this service line that the firm has. And so again, I think those are probably a couple of areas that from a work perspective speak to me. And if we maybe want to pivot a little bit outside of work, I certainly am a big believer in giving back to the community. And I'm blessed to have the skill set that I do from an accounting perspective, which when you work with a bunch of accountants, maybe it doesn't seem quite as special. But when you go into the outside of a public accounting firm, you realize how many different organizations really need these services that we have. So right now I sit on a couple of board of directors, and one of them that I sit on is an organization called Junior Achievement, and have been fortunate that the firm has been very supportive with some of the things that I've done to allow me the time to attend some of the meetings. And actually just recently last year, we have a Company of the Year program in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and the firm was kind enough to host that. So we had local high school students that come in and create a company and pitch that to different volunteer judges and move on to a national competition. And so we were able to have that here in Fargo and utilize the great space that we have within this office. And so to me, that's just another example of really how the firm identifies and stands behind the employees, not just from a work perspective, but in some of the things that you care about outside of the office hours.
Absolutely. I love to hear how that shifted over your career too. How maybe when you first started, right, you were just looking for those different opportunities and maybe use some of your time to volunteer. But as you've grown in your career, you've been able to do that in an even deeper meaning by joining those board of directors, which, as you mentioned, I know so many nonprofits that need accountants to be on those boards. So just a cool way to use your skill sets to give back to the communities that you serve. And now I'm going to throw it over to Rachel. Rachel is one of our senior campus recruiters on the team. I had the pleasure of hiring Rachel right out of college, which is so special. And so Rachel, you're a few years out of school, but I'd love for you to give the people on the webinar today your perspective as a younger professional. Really, what drew you to Eide Bailly? What made you say yes when you were looking for an opportunity here?
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And
Sure
I'm sorry that
can.
Maddie couldn't be here. I'm stepping in for her. I obviously am not a tax associate in the Boulder, Colorado office. You can maybe tell we look a little different, but I'm excited to be here with you guys today. As Carrie mentioned, she is the person who hired me 3 years ago, and I've been here for all 3 years of really my professional career. I found Eide Bailly through a women's mentorship program. And so I'm not an accountant, my background isn't in accounting. And so I had done this women's mentorship program and really thought to myself, oh, well, I'll never work there. I'm not an accountant. That must be all that they hire for or something like that. And it was really fun, 3 years ago when I was looking for jobs and finishing my master's and looking to join a great company, that I reconnected with some of the people at Eide Bailly. And it turns out 20 of the female mentors that were in this program, 17 of them still worked there. And it was 2 or 3 years after I had done that women's mentorship program. And so I thought that really spoke to me and really spoke to the company culture. It really just kind of served its purpose, right? They always say, or we always say, now that I'm on the recruiting team at Eide Bailly, we love to talk the talk about company culture, but we also walk the walk. 17 out of those 20 women who were still in roles at Eide Bailly was something that was really impressive to me and made it really clear to me that this was a space that I wanted to be in. And now I'm 3 years in and couldn't dream of a better company to work for. I get to tease all my friends and all my peers that I kind of lucked out finding the right company my first go around.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that experience, Rachel. I think that is something we pride ourselves on. Just hearing different people's experience levels today, that people enjoy Eide Bailly and they want to stay here. And I think that just shows so much how we give back to people and the support that we provide. I know that we have a lot of aspiring accountants on the call today. So I'm going to go back to Mish, Antonio, and Reed. Let's dive into the CPA. I know that these students have questions about it. So let's start off with just, how did you prepare for the CPA? What was it that got you through those exams? I know that they're hard. I can't speak from experience, haven't taken them myself, but I've heard that they're really challenging. So would love for you to just provide some insight on how you best prepared, or if there was things that the firm provided you to help you prepare. So I don't know who wants to take it first, but I'll let the group just chime in on that CPA exam.
Yeah, I can certainly get started, Carrie. I maybe I'll date myself a little bit, but I did take the exam back when they handed out the CDs to us to use on the computer. So it's been a number of years, but I do still vividly remember studying for that CPA exam. And it's one of those things where everyone is fully supportive of you and understands, if you've been through that CPA exam, you understand what's required of it. And there's really, it goes back to, there's no substitute for hard work in a lot of things in life. And taking the CPA exam is certainly one of those areas where I look back at it. I was fortunate enough to pass three of the four sections on my first try. And I would say the fourth one that I did, I knew I didn't put in the time. So first and foremost, it's really putting in the time and being self-disciplined enough to make sure that you reserve the time set aside to do that. And, I remember when I was doing it, I spoke with some of the supervisors I was working with so that they understood the commitment that was really on my plate outside of the work hours, and that I was going to be making this dedication to it. So if something should come up, I had time scheduled off. That's really what it was for, so that I could allow myself the additional time to study for the exam. But again, from my perspective, having some of the benefits of the Becker Review course and the support of my peers who knew that I was doing this and were cheering me along the way. I remember them asking me about when I was finding out my scores, what I was getting back for results. When I got back, actually, when I got my last result back, I still remember telling my supervisor at the time. And actually, there was a big client that I had worked on for a couple of years, and he was asking me whether or not I had heard my results back. So I did send a message back to him as well afterwards. And I think just having that support is so great. And then what I love from my perspective now is, like in our department, we've got a handful of individuals taking their exam as well. So I'm trying to repay that favor and checking in with them regularly to see how they're doing, ensuring that they've got the right resources that they need to be successful with the exam, and trying to provide that support in turn to them.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Reed. Mish, how about you? What's your perspective on that CPA exam, or just ways that the firm has supported you in growing in that way professionally?
Wow. Okay. So it's been a while for me too. I think I got my CPA and was studying under the old rules in 2023, but I remember graduating college and not even meeting the requirements to be able to sit for the CPA exam. So it took a little extra work on my part, even after college, to get ready for the exam. But it just felt like such an intimidating process to get through. You kind of have to just list out what all the requirements are and then do a checklist. And as you're moving through and as you're studying, everything you kind of get the flow of how you want to study, what works best for you. And I think I saw a question in the chat of, how do you cope with feelings of, I can't do this when studying for the CPA exam? And I felt that so much throughout the years when I was studying. There's so much information, it's so comprehensive, and you're taking practice exams throughout the time that you're studying. And I will say that Becker, if you guys haven't heard of Becker, please go research, because they have the best CPA exam study material. That study material really helps you walk you through not only the exam material, but the actual process of taking the exam. They do simulated exams that will put you through the test, and it's exactly how you take the exam in the proctored rooms. And so having that material definitely helped me get myself set up for success. And then the way EB kind of supported me through that is that they do a CPA bonus. So depending on your time here at the firm, you get a certain bonus once you pass the exam, and you don't even need to get your license yet. You just need to pass the exam. So that was a really big motivator for me. And now that I have a once I got my CPA, that's when I was promoted to senior associate, and it's been a really great experience. My manager has always been so supportive of me and ensuring that I get the CPA license and that I continue to grow here at the firm.
Yes, thanks for highlighting that, Mish. You highlighted some of the big benefits that we provide, that Becker CPA review program. For any of our staff that have accepted a full-time offer, we do provide that program free of cost, as well as you mentioned the bonus. That's a big motivating factor in getting that licensure. And we provide time off to go take those exams and cover the cost of them. So we really prioritize you getting that certification. Antonio, anything you want to highlight or anything else to add in regards to CPA? Oh, Antonio, it might be your turn to do a refresh. While he's doing that, we can move on. I want to go back to Reed shared more about giving back. Chelsea mentioned it with one of our giveaways. It's really important to us. It's something that I certainly, as a professional, take advantage of here. I have organizations that are near and dear to my heart. I'm a golden retriever dog mom, and so I get to volunteer with a rescue, and I get to use time during work to go do those things. So I want to hear more from each of you.
Can you hear me?
Ways where, yep,
Oh.
I think you're back, Antonio. There we go.
There you go.
Yep, you're back. We moved on. It's okay.
Oh,
We're talking about volunteering, which is also just as fun to talk about as the CPA. So, Antonio, since we know that your mic is working, would love to hear just maybe a time when you've volunteered with your office or a way that you've been able to utilize Eide Bailly's volunteer time to go give back to an organization that you love.
Yes. So as a matter of fact, I am a treasurer on a board, and like you said, Eide Bailly does provide time off from when you want to do philanthropic type work. I'm a treasurer on a board where we help inner city kids with reading and reading development. So yes, Eide Bailly does help out with that and provide time off when it comes to that, which is awesome.
Super cool. Yeah, I love that you're able to give back to things that you really are passionate about. Rachel, how about you? I know that you've done some volunteering recently. Tell us more about those experiences and ways that you've been able to give back to your communities.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really fun. I love talking about the way that we do things here at Eide Bailly, and specifically that donation match that we offer. So the $200 per year that is given out to our staff members to donate and match. So if I give $200 out, the firm matches that $200. And really what's important about that is we have people all over the U.S. working. It's not just me in Bismarck, North Dakota, or Reed in Fargo, North Dakota, or wherever anyone else is. We have people almost in all 50 states. And I think it's a really great way that Eide Bailly gives back to all of those communities and really contributes, my volunteer time or my donation match into the community that I want, or into the community and the programs that I want to support. And so recently I got to volunteer with some little kids and hang out with them and read them some books and things like that. They honestly probably could have read the books better to me than I could to them, but it was still a really fun experience. And I think it's important that that is a piece of why I love working here at Eide Bailly.
Awesome. Yeah, Reed, I know you're in Fargo. I'm in Fargo too. I know our office has quite a few various events. You even mentioned the one with Junior Achievement last year. Can you tell us more about some of those things that we've done in office as an entire community that have supported different organizations?
Absolutely. So actually it was just last week or the week before. I apologize, I can't remember the exact timing, but our department did our office did a lot of volunteering for the United Way backpack drive. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with that, our local United Way does an event to bring in donated backpacks and school supplies for kids, underprivileged youth in the area here. And so I had a chance to go out and do that with a number of other individuals in the office, and they've really got quite the operations at our local United Way, where they will have cars line up and fill out forms, and then you really get an opportunity to hand out backpacks to these kids who are just beyond excited. And so it's great to be able to do that with your colleagues and to be able to support the community and give back in that type of manner. And then one other one, too, I will touch on is I've actually been out of town, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks for this, but our department in Fargo is a little bit smaller. We've got usually about 18 to 20 people in the department. And every year, our group works with the Great North Pole to also hand out Christmas presents to youth in the community. So every year, that's kind of one of the causes that our department has chosen to spend a little bit of time after work going out and supporting. And it's just a great opportunity for us, not just to be able to spend some time together, but again, to be able to give back with the resources that we have and the time that we have to our community.
Yes, I love that you highlighted doing it as a group. I think that's another great part of this giving back as a community is it's a great way to build relationships with your colleagues. It's time that you get to spend together and just learning about each other while you're getting to do something really impactful. So I'm sure we all have lots of stories of ways that we've volunteered and things that are near and dear to us. I think something that I want to highlight and talk deeper about today is the stereotype that accounting is a grueling profession, right? We know that we work a lot of hours in public accounting. That's nothing that we're going to shy away from. Those tax deadlines come along faster than we'd like them to. But I think something that we need to talk about when we talk about those hours is certainly how we care about ourselves and how we make sure that we're not getting burnt out during those busy seasons. And I think that there's things that Eide Bailly can provide, as well as just things that we might do as individuals to take care of ourselves. And so I'm sure the students on the call would love to hear that so they can start to think about what they need to do as they enter their future career, just to take care of themselves mentally and physically and as a holistic person. So Mish, let's start with you. Think about your busy seasons. What are those ways that you're taking care of yourself, or what are those resources that Eide Bailly is providing you that you're taking advantage of?
Yes, of course. So one of the ways that I take care of myself during busy season, and a way that a lot of people here in the Torrance office actually do, is a lot of us actually are practicing yoga. And so it's a great activity for us to have a moment of connectivity with our body, but also to clear time to connect with ourselves mentally, and just to make sure that our anxieties and stress, we're kind of not thinking about that, and we're really focused on ourselves for a little bit. And I'm lucky enough that my manager is also a fellow yogi, and when I tell her during busy season, like, hey, I'm gonna leave maybe a little bit early, do a yoga class, and then maybe I'll finish the work tomorrow or finish the work later today, she's always so accepting of that, as long as, you know, getting the work done. Of course, we always want to do a good job and make sure that we are servicing our clients in the best way possible. But there also is a focus on making sure that we're taking care of our well-being. And another way that they do that is our lifestyle expense reimbursement, which is essentially a set amount based on your years of service with the firm. And they offer a expense reimbursement for wellness. And so I'm able to actually get my yoga membership reimbursed, which is another great perk here working at Bailey.
Thanks for sharing that, Mish. I love that you guys are yogis in the Torrance office. I need to come hang out with you all. That's so fun. How about you, Antonio? How are you taking care of yourself during those busy times?
We're kind of like Mish said. We actually have a track right next to the office that I'm in. And sometimes a group of us, we just get together and say, you know what? It's been a long day. Let's just go for a walk. So we all go for a walk. You know, we shut it down for a little bit. We just go for a walk and you know, we we also play a few games throughout the office too. We play Uno to break up the monotony of the day. And of course we do work hard. You know, tax season is tax season, but you know, we do things to try to, you know, break up the day, because you know, we work hard, so we try to, you know, have fun too.
Yeah, definitely. It's important to just get away from your computer screen for even just a few minutes. Love a good Uno game. Reed, I know that you're a parent, and that's something as I've gotten to work with you, I've really respected that you've been able to balance family and the great work that you do. Talk more about that, especially during your busy seasons, how you've been able to balance both.
Absolutely, Carrie. From my perspective, I would say if I didn't have the flexibility that I have right now, I certainly wouldn't be here 17 years later. I mean, that was a big part of why I've chosen to stay here and still continue to do the things I do, because right now I've got 3 kids between the ages of 7 and 12. And so life is very busy. There's a lot of days I'm not in at 8 o'clock. There's a lot of days I'm gone before 5, but I also realize that I've got the opportunity to, I'm not a night person, so you probably won't see many emails from me in the evening, but I'm able to get up early and get a lot of work done before the sun rises. And to me, I love that because I've got that ability to be able to shift the timing of when some of that work's done. And it still allows me to be able to meet the commitments that I have with my family. You know, I think I look at those times as ones that I'll never get back. And, you know, for the firm to be able to support that, you know, the big thing is to be able to communicate, right? If I can communicate with my coworkers and they understand what I'm doing, they understand when I'm doing it, you know, we're certainly able to work through that. And again, to me, that's a large part why I'm still here. Because I know there are a lot of jobs out there that just don't have that type of flexibility. And we're fortunate enough to do that, where, again, I can still be present with my family and everything that needs to happen there, and pivot as needed and still get the work done at the same point in time.
Yeah, I loved how you highlighted that we all have different ways that we work, right? You're not a night person. I know I certainly am not either. My team knows that. And I think flexibility is such a big part of what we strive for here at Eide Bailly. And I think something that I know my team, when we're talking with different students, that we try to highlight is that flexibility, especially when you're early on in your career. It is trying to take as much advantage of those people in the office and being there, right? And certainly using that flexibility when you can. But I think we definitely see that get a little bit easier as you get further into your career. You have more of those relationships built, and so it's nice that we can offer that from day one, and that it continues to grow as you progress in your career here. Let's talk a little bit about internships. I want us all to put our heads back to the day that we did an internship, and I actually did one here at Eide Bailly too. And I know how nerve-wracking that can be. So think back to when you were doing an internship. What's a good way to prepare? What are those things that you wish you would have known before you went into an internship, that you could give some advice to our students here? So let's start out with, I'm going to mix it up. Reed, we're going to start with you this time, and we'll work our way backwards.
Sounds great, Carrie. When I started, I thought my expectation was that I probably needed to know a whole lot more than I really knew coming in. Everyone here understands that as an intern, you're taking everything you've learned in your education and trying to apply it. And it's something that takes time. And really, more than anything, what we're looking for is that you're willing to put in the effort, you're willing to take the things that you've learned as you progress throughout your internship and carry them forward. And it's okay to ask for help. I think that's the biggest thing I find too, is sometimes we're afraid to ask for help when we need it. And then when we get that help, we understand the why behind the help that we're getting. So if we've got questions that we're working through, again, I came in and I thought I needed to know a whole lot more than I really needed to when I first started. And again, we all start from that same point in time in our career where we're learning. And I'll say, even to this day, 17 years later, I was just at a lunch with my team today and made a comment on something I was working on this morning that made me feel like an intern all over again, because it was something I hadn't dealt with, something I hadn't seen. And I was learning from the start and just from fresh. And so I think that's the part that I really understand now, is it's constant evolution of learning here. And everyone starts from that same spot when you're in that first day in your career, and coming in with a positive attitude, being willing to work hard, ask the questions, and learn from those around you will take you a long ways in your career.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm sure we all have moments where we still feel like an intern. I know I definitely do, where I'm like, I should know the answer to this, but there's always going to be something new that we're learning. Mish, how about you? Think back to that, maybe that internship or first role. What's something that you wish you would have known, or that you would do differently if you could go back now?
Well, thinking about my internship, I think I was much more concerned with how to do my job. I kind of came in not knowing what to expect, really not knowing anything. And then when I was kind of learning about my job from my senior auditor, he basically said, you know, we don't expect you to know anything. A lot of what we do is on the job learning. And one thing that I wish I had at that time was more of a questioning mind, more a little bit more curiosity. Again, I was more focused on how to do the job and not why to do the job. And Reed touched on this, is just having a little bit of curiosity, asking those questions. Like when we ask you to do a work paper, you kind of have some examples to go based off them, and you can complete the work paper. But then once you complete it and it's all signed off and the manager and the partner looks at it, then you can ask the why. And then you can understand exactly why you're doing what you're doing and what value this is providing for both, for anything, for an audit, for a review, a compilation. And so I think having that curiosity is something that I would have brought in a little bit earlier in my career.
I love that. Curiosity is such a good trait that we all could use more of in our day to day. Antonio, anything you want to add in regards to just internships or that first role and what you can do to prepare?
Yes. So Reed and Mish, they did a great job hitting on so much of what I wanted to hit on. But nonetheless, as a matter of fact, I saw in the question in the Q&A, yes, the internships are paid. And one thing I would say is that we all were we were all once where you're trying to go. We were all interns at one point or another. Like we all talked about it prior. We have great people here. Because we have great people, no one's gonna look at you, a certain way because of a question you ask. I would say just ask as many questions, write as much stuff down as you can. That's one thing that I wish I would have done maybe a little bit more, was written down some of the questions that I had and some of the things that I learned throughout my internship. But yeah, like I said, Reed and Mish hit on it. Just ask as many questions as you can. Write as much stuff down as you can. That's what I would say.
I love it. You hit on all the good things. Rachel, you talk to students every day. I know you do. I see your calendar. Tell us what you are sharing with students when you're talking to them about their first internship.
Yeah, I think everyone did a really great job explaining what Eide Bailly is looking for, right? We know you're a student. We know you're coming here to learn. It is a big piece of, that curiosity, wanting to step in and really having that willingness to learn. Something that we're really looking for are those students who want to come in and hit the ground running, right? We don't expect you to have the skills, but we do expect you to ask questions when you don't know something. And we want you to come in and learn and see if this is really the right fit for you. Internships are definitely a great way for Eide Bailly to take a peek at what your work quality looks like and things like that. Yes, but this is also a really great opportunity for you to come in and decide, hey, is Eide Bailly the company I work at? Is it audit and tax? Is it a CPA firm, or is this not for me?
Absolutely. Yeah. The other piece that I want to highlight, and Rachel kind of just talked about it, is this not for me? I think when you're in college, you can only know so much about your future career, and coming to things like this is such a great start. So I want to hear from all of our accountants, the three of you. What made you choose accounting? What makes you still to this day know that that's the right career path for you? Misha, I'm going to throw it back to you right away. So tell us more about why you chose this career.
Well, on a personal level, my family owns some Filipino fast food restaurants here in Southern California, and I went into accounting because I wanted to be able to help my family down the line. Now, mostly they don't need audits. They need more like tax consulting services, which Antonio hit on earlier. That's more of like, or I believe Thomas hit on this. It's more about future planning. But I went into audit and chose accounting because I felt like business drives a lot of financial information and the economy here in America. And I just wanted to learn more about that. And someone told me this a couple years ago, and it kind of stuck with me. And it's that accountants are the engineers of business. And if you understand accounting and if you're literate in financial information, it's really helpful, not just here at work, but in our professional lives. And I audit employee benefit plans, and so I get to learn about 401ks, and I get to advise people. And now all of my family members ask me, like, oh, what should I do about how much I'm deferring into my 401k plan, and what about pension, and what about this? And like, it's really good to be able to give back in some of these small ways. So that's kind of why I chose accounting, is just to be more financially literate and to be able to help those around me improve on their financial condition as well.
Yes, that's such a great point. I love that accountants are the engineers of business. I've heard it said that accounting is the language of business, and you touched on that, right? Being able to speak that language. I know that that's such a huge impact when we are working with clients. So, Antonio, what about you? What made you go into accounting?
That was a great quote, Mish. I like that. That was a great quote. The reason why I went into accounting, honestly, is because it was the hardest major at my college. So because it was the hard, honestly, that's the reason why I went into it. So because it was the hardest major at my college, I just said to myself, let's see if you can do it. So I got into it and I actually liked it. The reason why I am still in accounting, more so tax, sorry, Reed and Mish. But the reason why I like tax is because I'm literally learning something every day, something new every day. Real quick story. So right before the merger, one of my clients, they put in a whole bunch of solar panels. Now, I had never did any solar panel work or anything like that. But after the merger happened, Eide Bailly has an actual solar panel or has an actual energy department. So when I got hooked up with the energy department, they pointed me in the right direction, and I learned so much through that experience when it comes to solar panels and energy credits and all that stuff. And, like you said at one point or another, the people, everybody was great. Everybody was willing to help. And it was a great experience. And my client was happy. So that's why I'm still in accounting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Also, I love that you just chose the hardest major. Like, talk about setting a goal and going for it. And that I love that it worked out for you, that you didn't end up hating it. That could have been a rough couple of years. But that's such a great story. You mentioned your client and just the ways that Eide Bailly does have those resources across the firm that you can utilize to learn more. And you don't have to be the expert in every single thing, but we've got a network of people to reach out to. And yes, everyone chooses whether it's assurance or tax or whatnot. And Reed, you mentioned earlier, you've done a little bit of both. You did assurance and now you're in our client accounting services group. So tell us more about why you're still here 17 years later.
Absolutely. So when I was in school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. In all honesty, I was a business administration major and was trying to figure out which path to go. And luckily, my aunt was a CPA, and I still remember her telling me every company needs an accountant. So if you think about what's the consistency of a position that's needed at every single company out there, it's an accountant. So, a profession that's high in demand and going to be around for a long, long time. So that's really what got me down this route. And I'll tell you what keeps me here today is the need that's out there. I see it every single day, the need of our clients to be able to provide these types of services. And it doesn't matter if we're talking assurance, tax, client accounting, whatever it might be. The needs and the complexities of our clients is going to get greater and greater. The demands on technology and how that impacts our clients gets greater and greater. So, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but when you look at companies and who they trust and value the most, typically accountants are right towards the top there. And so a lot of times we get calls for questions that I might not even deal with, but it's tell me your thoughts on this. And so for me, I think the longer you're here, the more it evolves from just a transactional type of role in the firm where you're, doing some of the day-to-day work to building relationships. And so to me, the ability to build relationships with not just my clients, but with the coworkers as well, and to be able to provide those services for our clients and even to our internal staff as well is really what keeps me here. So for those of you students that, all you students in accounting, you certainly picked a great career. And I do a lot of work with our university in town here, my alma mater, that I sit on the advisory board for as well. And I go to speak to accounting classes just to preach the need that's out there. It's not going to slow down. Again, just keep in mind every single company that is out there is going to need an accountant.
Yes, that's such a good reminder. There is that need out there. And I remember one of our partners right after COVID kind of mentioning, when COVID hit, we were the first call that people made of, hey, I need to figure out what to do with my business during this unprecedented time. So I think that just highlights the way that we're able to support our clients in a variety of ways. We have talked a lot about relationships, whether it's with our team members here at Eide Bailly, with our clients. And I think people in my, when I talk to students, that's exciting to them and maybe a little bit nerve-wracking, that idea of networking with folks that you maybe don't know, especially when you're just getting started. So what tips or, just suggestions would you have for those folks on the call that are thinking about their first internship or that first job where it's important to build those relationships? How would you, or what tips would you give them to getting involved with people and the culture where they work right from day one? Antonio, I'm going to start with you. We'll mix it up a little bit, but go back to you what's your tips for people to get connected right away?
I'll go back to it again, the people. We have awesome, amazing, great people here. And I'm pretty sure that if you talk to anybody or just, wanted to take anybody to, not necessarily take anybody to lunch, but go sit down, with a group of people for lunch, get coffee with somebody. Everybody's, willing to talk to you. Everybody's willing to help you. Everybody's willing to listen to you. So I would say, as much as you can, just, talk, ask for advice. Just talk and ask for advice. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I always say the worst thing that someone can do is say no. If you invite them to coffee or lunch, right? The worst that's going to happen is that they tell you no. And then there's probably a good reason why they're not. So that's such a great tip. Mish, how about you? What tips would you have for those folks looking to get involved right away?
I think that in order to stand out, or just any tips, I guess my tip would be to stand out and to make yourself a little bit more memorable. And the way that I've seen interns do this is I've had quite a bit of intern interviews, and the way that they stand out to me is they'll send me a message after the interview and they'll kind of give me like a rundown of what they learned during the interview, and then they'll ask more questions. And then same thing for when they actually get the internship. Like Antonio touched on, in our office, we try to take the interns out at least twice throughout their internship, maybe once for a coffee and then maybe once for a lunch. And then they get to kind of pick our brains, and it helps us see kind of where their mind is at and for us to learn about them. And so tips that I would say to get our attention is to just be vocal and to kind of, I know that it's intimidating. I was intimidated when I first started, but I just really built on my connections, and I was really just able to learn from people, and that helped me grow in my internship for sure.
Yeah, I love that point of be vocal. And something I think that's really important to highlight for people listening is that we want you to be yourselves. Don't feel like you have to show up as someone that you're not. It's authenticity is one of our values, right? So it's important to us that you show up as who you are, and to know that we want to hear your voice. We want to hear your ideas. We want to hear your questions. We want you to feel like you're a part of the team. And so that's great advice of just don't be afraid to share your thoughts and speak up within the group. Reed, how about you? You work with so many people, especially as a partner. You have people of all different stages. So I'm sure you see a lot of people coming in that are probably a little nervous about those team dynamics or just getting involved right away. So what tips would you have?
Absolutely. So full disclosure, I by nature, I'm an introvert. So I tell people this all the time. When I go to a big conference that's, maybe got 500 or 1,000 people, that's uncomfortable to me. So kind of the advice I would say is stretch yourself to get a little uncomfortable. When you walk into those career fairs, when you're talking to companies, it certainly is nerve-wracking, right? To go up to somebody you don't know and introduce yourself. But just learn to be a little bit uncomfortable, learn to stretch yourself, because, now is the time to really start doing it. And again, I have to do that myself 17 years into my career, where I'm walking into situations where, again, whether it's I go to a conference or I'm meeting a new client, that can be a little uncomfortable at times, but that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And I would say the other thing I might just give as a piece of advice is be prepared and curious. We mentioned curious in this conversation earlier, talking about when you are actually on the job, but be curious as well, and come prepared about the firms that you want to talk to, the ones you want to meet. Make it a point, again, to step out of your comfort zone and try to plan to get in front of those individuals. And again, that's how you grow. That's how you're going to learn. And that's not something that's going to happen just once during this recruiting process. But if you want to learn and grow throughout your career, you're going to have to, get a little comfortable with being uncomfortable. So.
Yes, absolutely. And this is where I'm going to highlight again two resources. One, our Eide Bailly Career Resources. You can find that in your program. It's an entirely free resource to help you practice interviewing. Reed talked about those. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. We don't know what to say or how to talk about ourselves. It actually helps give you, it'll give you a prompt, and you can repeat the answer, and it'll give you some tips and stuff. But I also want to highlight, if you are a student, utilize your career centers. They are such a wealth of knowledge. Whether you're worried about networking, or you're trying to prepare your resume or prepare for an interview, they are some of our biggest allies when it comes to helping students prepare. So utilize those career centers. We're coming close to time. I feel like I could talk to all of you all day long. And so to wrap up, I want to go back to values, right? Lisa highlighted those at the beginning of this call, Eide Bailly's values. And as a reminder to everyone on the call, our values are integrity, meaningful relationships, people, culture, trust, and authenticity. I would love to hear from each of you. Which value do you relate to most, or which one is most important to you as you've developed your career, and why? And that's how we'll wrap up our conversation today. So Rachel, I'm going to go to you first, and then I will go Antonio, Mish, and then Reed can bring us home.
I think as a recruiter, I always have to say meaningful relationships. I get the pleasure of chatting with students all day and sometimes even all night, I guess. And it's always fun for me building relationships with a candidate and really finding the right spot for them at Eide Bailly, whether it's audit, tax, or technology consulting. It's what keeps me here, and is really exciting when I find the right candidate for a hiring manager who's really in need for someone.
Antonio, how about you?
Since Rachel said meaningful relationships, I'm gonna go integrity. Sometimes, especially being in the tax world, some clients want you to take not so good positions on a tax return, and it's great that the people at Eide Bailly and the senior managers and the partners that I work with, they when they know that it's not necessarily, right what the client wants you to do, they back you. And I really appreciate that. As a matter of fact, we just had a client leave because he wanted us to take a super unfavorable, risky position. And I had to communicate it to the client. But the partner on the account, he 100% backed me on it. So I would say integrity.
Yeah, really important. That's a great example of how that value really shows up in our day today. Mish, how about you?
I think I'd have to go with authenticity. And from a more personal side of things, I think authenticity is demonstrated by our managers and partners who genuinely care about our well-being and our wellness. But then from a work perspective, I think authenticity kind of comes from myself being honest about where I am in my career, kind of being honest with my manager, like, hey, I don't really know what's going on right now, or I'm not really sure about this super complex technical accounting issue. And she also may be familiar or may not be familiar, and we have those real conversations, and we're able to kind of use each other and do research. And I think that's a type of authenticity that I see from a work perspective that really helps me grow in my career. It's just being able to be honest and grow with the people around you.
I love that. That's such a great example. All right, Reed, bring us home.
Sounds great. Thanks, Carrie. I'm going to have to go with people because having been here for 17 years, I'm not here without the support of others. You know, there's, again, like I talked about earlier, there's a lot of points in time in your career where you've got ups and downs, you know, successes and things that you learn from. You know, we spend a lot of time working with each other and collaborating, whether that's in the audit side, sitting in an audit room out at a client's site, working through the different items of a financial statement audit, or now in the client accounting services where I'm working with team members on a daily basis. You know, what we do with our clients, what we sell is our services, right? Our time. So the ability to collaborate with a tremendous number of individuals, not only just in my department, but from other departments, and not just within my office, but within offices all across the US and India, to have so many team members that support you and are able to help you out. That's certainly why I'm here. You know, I've had a number of mentors in my career and individuals that have helped to get me where I'm at today. And I like to be able to repay that as well and help out others. But, you know, we're in the people business, whether that's relationships, recruiting. People are at the heart of what we do. So if it wasn't for the people that are here, I don't know that I would still be here 17 years later.
Yes, I can fully agree with that. I say that oftentimes, that the people really are what drives me and keeps me going in the work that we do. And it's things like this, right? Being able to hear all the expertise that you all provide, and knowing that so many people on this call today are getting this knowledge, and wish I would have had that when I was a student, right? So thank you, panelists, for being with us today. You've all shared so much great information. I appreciate the time that you took to be here, and for all of the students that were putting questions in the chat, thank you for your curiosity and inquisitiveness. As we wrap up our time together today, this always flies by. We do have three last giveaways, I should say. These are our big giveaways. So we know you probably have, school year coming up, or maybe fun other plans and things that you want to spend this on. So we have 3 $250 Amazon gift cards to give away. Our winners of those are Esmeralda Briseno, David Sanchez, and Brianna Dexter. So the three of you, keep an eye on your email over the next couple of days. Someone from our team will be reaching out to get you that gift card. And thank you again for being here. As we wrap up today, we have a couple of last items. We would love for you to take our follow-up survey. This survey is really important to us because we do this event every year, and we always look at the results and take that into consideration as we plan for the next year. Your feedback helps us do a better job for future students to come. You can scan the QR code here, or it will be sent in a follow-up email coming to you tomorrow. If you do take our survey and share that feedback with us, if you take it by Sunday, August 24th, you will be entered to win one of 5 $50 Amazon gift cards. So we are throwing prizes around left and right here today. So please share your feedback with us. We would love to hear from you. It's really important to us that we get that. With that, I want to say a huge thank you again for joining us today. We know that taking an hour and a half out of your summer is probably not the thing that you want to do, but hopefully this is a way for you to learn more about your future career, or even just who we are as a firm. Please don't let the connection stop here. We'd encourage you to connect with us. You can find our career opportunities at our career site, so find it in that program. Our internships and entry-level associate roles are being posted now and within the next couple of weeks as we ramp up. Please come find us on your college campus if we're visiting, and keep that connection going. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your summer and a great semester as you go back to campus this fall. Thanks again.